Imagine if future employers, potential clients, or brand partners were able to find you because of work that you had published online. Imagine if you wanted to start a new business and you had already created a community online that might be interested in what you have to offer. Imagine if you unexpectedly found yourself out of a job, but your community online already understood your expertise and your skills and could help to find you a new one. On the flip side, imagine if you lost opportunities to people that had a stronger presence online, to people who had built a platform for themselves using their personal brand. When you build your professional brand online, you are helping to future-proof your career. You are creating professional leverage based around your personal brand that is not attached to your current job or your current title. It is based around whatever you might decide to do next. You are also helping to meet your people where they might be. You become discoverable in your industry, and you are also pushing the potential of your personal brand beyond your current comfort zone. But not everyone feels comfortable on social media. I currently publish a weekly YouTube episode, podcast episode, blog, newsletter, and I post actively on LinkedIn. But I wasn't always comfortable on social media. I actually rarely used social media at all. So today I want to share the 8 tips that I use to regularly show up on social media and overcome any social media anxiety or any social media stage fright that I might be feeling, in the hopes that if you are potentially feeling the same way, that they might help you to build your personal brand online as well. If this sounds like something that you might be interested in, then grab your cup of tea and let's dive into it. So before I dive into my first tip, I want to talk about social media lurking. It's estimated that the average internet user uses social media 2.5 hours a day. And yet most experts also agree that 90% of people on social media are actually considered lurkers. They are not actually engaging, commenting, or posting anything of their own. So if this is you, then you are not alone, but it also presents a really exciting opportunity to join the 10% who are more regularly contributing online, or the 1% who are doing it very consistently compared to other people. But the one thing from my coaching experience that I feel causes people to hold themselves back from social media is this fear that they don't want to show up online, that they have a sense of social media anxiety when it comes to putting themselves out there. So let's dive into my first tip to overcome any social media anxiety that you might have. Tip number 1 is to use your personal brand to show up for 3 people. Ernest Hemingway famously said, "I believe that basically you write for 2 people, yourself, then you write for who you love, whether she can read or write or not, and whether she is alive or dead." I would personally add a third person to that, and that is to show up for your audience of 1. While it might seem daunting to show up online to your online community, remind yourself that there could be just 1 person who might find what you have to offer valuable. It might change the course of their day or even their career. Tip number 2 is to be aware of the spotlight effect. Yes, even in personal branding, we have to accept that people are not thinking about us as much as we think they are. The spotlight effect is what psychologists say causes us to overestimate how much people are actually paying attention to what we are doing. So when you are putting yourself out online, remind yourself that people don't actually care about you as much as you may think. While you think they are thinking about what you are doing, they are probably much more concerned with their own lives, and they are thinking about themselves and not you. Tip number 3 is to document, don't create. this is one of the mantras of world-renowned marketing guru Gary Vee. He says that sometimes when we focus too much on creating, it can create this pressure of perfectionism that leads us to not want to do that thing. And we end up procrastinating when we could have been showing up online. When you have a mantra of documenting and not creating, it means that you are not trying to put yourself out there as this perfect version of your personal brand. You are just trying to document the journey along the way of transforming into the person that you want to be. And it doesn't actually matter if you never actually meet what that perfect end vision is. What's more important is sharing the journey of the person that you're becoming on the way to that vision. Tip number 4 is to practice gratitude. I have talked a lot on my platforms about gratitude practice being a way to rewire your brain for positive thinking and to overcome your negativity bias. But when it comes to social media, I think this is a really fun way of practicing gratitude. So you don't have to practice gratitude just by writing down 3 things that you are grateful for every day. You might use your social media as a way of practicing gratitude. I, for example, like to share moments that I find particularly really special on my Instagram, and that is a way that I practice gratitude for those things. So whether you are using LinkedIn or a blog or Instagram or TikTok, use it as a way to practice gratitude for whatever it is that you are experiencing. Again, document the things that you are grateful for online on social media. Tip number 5 is to develop a magnetic mindset for your personal brand. No good brand is ever designed to be for everyone. They are designed to attract certain people. When it comes to your own personal brand, remind yourself that you are going to be attracting certain people to your personal brand who resonate with whatever it is that you represent. But equally, you are going to be repelling people who do not connect with what your personal brand represents. And a part of overcoming anxiety on social media is allowing yourself to feel comfortable in knowing that, in this magnetic mindset, knowing that for every unfollow, unsubscribe that you receive, it is an opportunity to celebrate that your audience is less diluted with people who do not care about what you represent. And it is in turn strengthened because the people in your community more likely share your values, your views, your messages, and your interests. It creates a way for you to stop trying to appeal to the people that your personal brand was never designed to serve. Tip number 6 is to put it in perspective. Now, I am personally really grateful to see figures as significant as Gary Vee talk about putting social media into perspective in the broader scope of your life. I remember once watching an interview that Gary Vee was doing with a young girl, and she was explaining how much anxiety she feels when it comes to using social media. And to paraphrase some of his response to her, he basically says that these aren't real problems. The real problem is when you wake up one day and you don't have your family and your friends, when your family and your friends are sick, or you find out that they are in a car accident and something has happened to them. As I've shared on my platforms before, I recently lost 2 people that were very special to me. That was my dad and my grandma. And for me, it helped put into perspective the things that I was allowing myself to worry about on a day-to-day basis versus the things that I now feel truly warrant my fear or my attention or my worry. And so now when I show up on social media, I remind myself that these are not real things to worry about. I don't worry about what other people might think about me. I just worry about those bigger things. Tip number 7 is to start small on social media. No one is asking you to go all in on every popular social media platform at once. You can pick one platform to focus on. You might pick the one platform that is going to have the best return on investment for you. It might be the platform that your people are most likely going to be using. It might be the one that you are most comfortable with using yourself. You then might pick a cadence on that platform that is manageable in your schedule. Keep in mind the frequency that you choose needs to be sustainable in your season of life that you are currently in and in upcoming seasons as well, because you want to remain consistent on those platforms. I like to think of using social media as how babies learn to walk. A baby doesn't learn to walk straight away. They take little baby steps, they fall over, they pick themselves back up, and they try again. And they don't worry about what other people might be thinking. So, when you are trying to use social media more consistently for the first time, remind yourself that you are developing new skills. No one is expecting you to show up as this perfect version of yourself on social media when you are just beginning. So, when you are looking to show up more consistently on social media, why not challenge yourself to just aim to be 1% better every time? Develop a experimental or an intentional practice mindset. How are you going to improve with every single time you put yourself out there on social media? Just like when we finally do learn to walk, what once seemed completely impossible to us becomes second nature. Tip number 8 is to automate your social media habit. There is a reason why I talk about habits, routines, and processes as much as I do on my social media, my blog, my YouTube channel, and my podcast. It is because one of the best ways to be able to establish a new behavior is to wire it into your existing routine. If you are looking to be more consistent on social media, then schedule the time that you will plan, create, and publish on social media into your week. Perhaps you could stack these habits onto existing habits that are a part of your weekly routine. Could you also batch your content so that you never have an excuse for not showing up on social media on those days where creating and the anxiety of creating can be a little bit too overwhelming? Sometimes it is just pressing publish that can be the most nerve-wracking part of showing up on social media. But scheduling your social media for a later date can help you to overcome some of that anxiety. So consider scheduling when your social media is going to go live every single week and hold yourself accountable to the time that you have committed to, both for yourself and for your audience. When my grandma passed away, her older sister sent my mum a message and it said simply, be brave. And that is what I would want to leave you with today. Whether it is the big things in life or the smaller things like showing up on social media, I hope that you can be brave. Thanks so much for all things on personal branding, marketing, business, and personal development. Subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next episode.